rise and shine and smell the ashes and prepare for unforeseen consequences. Ladies and gentlemen, what I've been talking about is finally going to come to fruition because your boy, the Banana Man, is 100% right. Welcome to the platform wars of next generation, as Steam and Valve have announced their brand new set of hardware to be released in 2026. And the biggest piece of all that I'm going to be focusing on today is in fact the Steam Machine, a form factor PC that is going to, in my opinion, revolutionize what is happening in the living room and even for gaming itself, and prove once and for all we are in for a hell of a ride for the next generation of video games, because things are going to get wild, weird, and in fact absolutely crazy. But let's go over Valve's announcement and see what came up. According to Valve on Twitter, saying this, announcing new at Steam hardware coming in 2026. Steam controller, Steam machine, Steam frame. Watch our jazzy announcement video and wish list now. Oh, that's right. We got a lot to go over, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a big one. That's what she said. First off, it's the Steam Frame, Valve's new VR headset, not the Index, that giant bulky thing. The Steam Frame looks more like that Apple Vision Pro headset that we saw just a little bit back ago. That really goofy one everybody was walking around with. Well, everybody who had more dollars than cents, if you want to be honest about the entire thing. But the thing is, this new headset is incredibly interesting. Number one, it's basically designed to have incredibly low latency streaming from your actual PC or the Steam Machine or even the Steam Deck itself, directly piped into your own headset. At the same time, it also has its own hardware chipset as well, so you can also play any game that you want standalone from the actual device. This is incredibly cool because VR is the one thing I have not tried, and I'm kind of interested to see what it actually does. I didn't want to buy the Index with the whole camera pods and like that hanging around my office. No thanks, I don't want to do that at all. But this looks incredibly interesting and something I definitely want to try out if the price is in fact right. And that's the thing though, everything we saw yesterday, no price was in fact mentioned. So that tells me one thing, it's probably going to be kind of expensive and a little bit worrisome, honestly. But who's to say, because the Index was what, like $1,000 when it first came out? Hopefully, though, the pricing on this thing is pretty good because I definitely want to try VR headsets in the first time. And I know the MetaQuest is there as well, but still, it's something that I think that people are going to get into later on until it gets more affordable and even then gets better over time. But it's got pancake lenses, it's got foveated rendering, it's got high streaming, it's got games internally on it, and honestly, it looks really great and the controllers look good too. But speaking of controllers, oh baby, I'm excited about this one. Yeah, if you don't know, I'm one of those schizo weirdos with the original Steam controller as well, and I love this thing so much. It's one of the best emulation controllers, and honestly, at the beginning, you're like, I don't really like this, but the more you use the trackpads, the better you feel about it, and the less you actually want to use the thumbstick. But the new controller that they designed honestly looks really good. It seems that it's almost designed similar to what the PS5 controller is, where the actual sticks are horizontal with each other, not asymmetrical. They're perfectly in line. And then on the bottom just below it is where they added the two trackpads. And that, I feel, is going to be the perfect way of doing things. When you go ahead and feel it and you kind of like use it, it seems like it's just going to be the right spot to use that simple mouse look motion that you have on there, and keeping everything symmetrical with a typical controller interface is going to be a smart thing to do as well. And the part that I think is incredibly cool with this entire device is the fact that it has like this little jump pack cable thing where you can just click it onto it and it's going to charge it, remove it, and that's the actual receiver. That's awesome. Absolutely awesome. What a great little idea to make things super easy for you as a user in the first place. And the coolest part about all of that is inside the Steam Machine itself, it already has that functionality in it. So just going ahead and turning everything on and syncing everything together is incredibly easy to do. But let's talk about the big elephant in the room, or shall I say, the 6-inch cube in the room, the Steam Machine. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, do not recite the Agent Magics to me. I was there when those words were written, when Steam machines were first coming onto the scene and every other system integrator was trying to make their own set of actual boxes to sell to you as a customer and consumer, when the Steam Link itself was first coming out as well. I was there from the very beginning, watching it all go down and burn into a massive pile of trash fire at the actual beginning. And honestly, I think now is going to be the absolute perfect time. With the way SteamOS has been moving and how things have been progressing, especially with Bazzite and how Steam has been working with the Steam Deck specifically, the Steam Machine was the next logical step. Yeah, the Steam Deck 2 would have been ideal, but this little baby, this little box right here could be the next big thing. And I'm honestly kind of impressed by it though. There are a few things that I'm concerned about, but still, let's go over all the good stuff, shall we? First things first, it's going to carry Steam OS. So one of the things you're going to notice is it's going to have a really simple user interface. If you use a Steam Deck before, you're going to have a really easy time using this as well. At the same time though, wait a second, what the hell? Oh man, I guess somebody shows up Saturday nights. Yeah, it's not that big of a device, about 6 inches. And in fact, it looks like an Xbox Series X was just sliced in half and then laid down on its side because the fan is honestly in the back of it. At the same time though, it's got IO ports in the back. You can have dual monitor setups if you want to with this thing. It's got a CPU GPU combo, which we'll talk about as well. There's an entire slot in the front for micro SD. And one of the really great things about the micro SD card expansion slot is if you already have games installed on a micro SD from your Steam Deck, then you simply take out that micro SD card from there and plug it into your Steam machine, and it automatically will load the game up for you. No having to do any sort of extra installing because you already have it on that micro SD. Very cool idea. Very good stuff overall. It's got Wi-Fi 6, and on top of that, there's no power brick. Everything is internal in the device, keeping everything super slick, cool, and easy. And honestly, that's an incredibly nice thing to see. The Steam machine, in my opinion, is going to be that one thing to bridge the gap between people who clearly say they don't want to lug their big old PC tower into the living room and plug it into a TV. That's a really dumb thing to do. There have been form factor PCs doing this for an incredibly long time. It's just that now Valve is doing it on their own. And it's an incredibly cool idea. The small form factor, the LED strip on the bottom, it would have been really nice to see that overall. And you can in fact change the color. So if you want to make it orange, well, you can clearly have your orange box if you want to. They're also apparently going to be able to have face plates that you can take off and put on and replace on there. So it'd be really cool to see what people come up with, especially in the actual modding scene for hardware itself. Now let's get down to why you're actually here. That's my breakdown of the hardware itself and what's going to be showing up in the actual device. Now for the CPU, you've got a Zen 4 6-core 12-thread with up to 4.8 gigahertz at 30 watts of TDP power. That's a really big jump. Comparative to most consoles out today, that is a massive leap and above what you're seeing in CPUs in most consoles out right now, even better than the PS5 Pro and etc. So games that are CPU intensive, you're going to have a much better time overall with the Steam machine already on its own. We're basically into the next gen on that in my personal opinion. The GPU though, that's where things can get a little bit sticky. For the GPU, you've got a semi-custom AMD RDNA 3 28 compute unit GPU at 2.45 gigahertz with a max sustained clock at 110 watts TDP. So the actual power draw on that entire thing right now with just a CPU and GPU is about 140 watts. So that explains why the brick is actually able to be inside of the actual unit. The thing is though, GPU wise and the expectation of what you're going to be seeing on a 28 CU GPU, you're basically sitting at around a 7600, which honestly is going to be far better than an Xbox Series S, but in my opinion, just a tad bit below what you see on the standard PS5 right now. Will you be able to play current gen games? Absolutely. Will you be able to play next gen games? Yes, you will. The thing is though, you may not get the kind of frame rate or resolution that you actually want, mostly because during the actual trailer, they talked about how you're going to be using FSR to get to 4K 60. So upscaling and even frame generation are going to be a big factor overall for this device and doing a lot of the heavy lifting, which explains why you have a better CPU on this device and not a better GPU. Let me explain. The thing is, when any sort of upscaling is used, your CPU is taxed more because the resolution is in fact lower, giving more headroom to your GPU, which is why when you are in fact CPU limited, no matter what kind of upscaling you use, you'll never get more FPS. This, on the other hand, having a better CPU could in fact solve that problem. So having those higher senses of upscaling like performance or even ultra performance, ew, please don't do that, will give you a better experience and provide you with just more leeway to have that kind of upscaling in the first place. That's basically why they did it that way. So yeah, you'll be sitting around somewhat close to a PS5 standard for performance in terms of the GPU, but you're going to have a better CPU headroom overall. So if AMD does in fact provide FSR4 to this kind of device, you should be able to have a better experience overall. And in my guesstimation, of course, this is not anything to do with facts of what I'm talking about, just pretty much what I'm seeing from here and what I would expect to see happen, you're going to get in pretty much sneezing distance of the standard PS5. And with PlayStation basically saying this generation is about halfway over, you should be pretty much good to go for at least a couple of years longer. Now, Unreal Engine 5 games, that's going to be a true test to see what happens, because it turns out the GPU is kind of bottlenecked in a really weird way. They have it locked to 8 gigabytes of VRAM, and that is going to be a massive issue. I would have liked it to have at least 12, because that would give you a better experience overall. Some games don't even run on 8 gigabytes of VRAM, and that could be a big problem for a lot of other places and games as well. And even then, people wanted to push it to 4K. 8 gigs of VRAM is just simply not going to cut it. But you are getting around 16 gigs of DDR5 system memory as well, so you should be good to go from there as well. Again, not the best kind of performance, but also not the worst kind. I think compared to next generation, you're going to see a pretty big leap against everything else, but in terms of rasterization, you may not even see that huge of a difference, but in ray tracing, you absolutely will. And I think that's going to be one of the funniest things to see next generation, is how much those next gen consoles will cost compared to what this could cost, because apparently what Valve said, an entry-level PC is what this in fact will be costing for a lot of people, and that could mean a lot of different things. It could go from anywhere between $500, which I've been able to pull off, or even $800. The thing is though, we are seeing a lot of crazy things happen, especially with RAM. RAM itself has been getting a massive amount of price hikes over the past few months, mostly because of AI needing that RAM specifically for their data service centers. We've seen everything as high as 176% increase in RAM pricing recently because of this. So I'm kind of concerned at what pricing is going to be like, because of the fact that system memory is going to have a difficult time to get a hold of, unless Valve has already struck a deal with those system board manufacturers like AMD and etc. to make those pieces specifically. My hope for this device and price is around $499. My expectation of what I expect to see, maybe around $649, honestly. That's going to be kind of what I'm going to be guessing with the way RAM pricing has been going around right now. And even then with how APUs are being priced now as well. Even though they are not using RDNA 4, but RDNA 3 instead, that's going to be a difficult task to see, and seeing what Valve does to kind of eat as much of that cost as possible. Speaking of eating the cost from Valve, I don't expect these devices or anything else like that to show up in stores. My other expectation is you're going to be seeing them only being sold on Steam's website, where you have to log in with an actual account to buy those devices and get them delivered to you directly. This could be a factor overall with trying to go ahead and get access to them in the first place, because you know how scalpers do, but hopefully Valve has some way of fixing this in the first place. So with all that being said, the actual Steam machine, the frame, and even the controller, things are going to look pretty wild for next generation, especially in 2026, with Xbox having the rumor of their Xbox PC hybrid also being announced as well, coming up rather soon. This is going to be a massive war and fight between Microsoft and, in fact, Valve. Again, I don't think that Microsoft is even looking at PlayStation anymore. They are now going into the platform wars, and Valve, in fact, fired the first actual shot about the entire thing. Seeing as how I am a Steam Deck owner and an Asus ROG Xbox Ally owner, honestly, the Ally has been a really great companion because of the actual more horsepower, but the ease of use and the ability for SteamOS and Linux to be a part of my daily driver has honestly been incredibly enticing. I'm even thinking about converting my main desktop into Bazzite so I can avoid using Windows overall because of their insane telemetry and data collection that's been happening recently, and even their massive overuse of Copilot AI, just completely getting in my way all the time. This is going to be a big thing overall, and a bigger fight for Microsoft and Xbox specifically, because if they cannot get their UI in line with what you see every day on the Steam Deck, you're going to have a tough time with a lot of users either A, not moving over to Windows 11 because they're no longer supporting Windows 10 and they may in fact move over to Bazzite or SteamOS instead, Or B, people simply saying, why am I going to use Windows at all? It's the work OS. I don't want to have anything to do with it. I'm going to use Steam OS, have all my games on Steam, and not even worry about the Xbox PC hybrid coming down the line. This is going to be incredibly interesting to see how Microsoft can combat this entire thing and even provide a better experience for you as a user, or entice people to use Windows in the first place. The platform wars are in fact real, with Xbox putting their games onto every single platform, yet trying to coerce people into using Windows and having that as the best place to play, with Valve and Steam going around and saying, hey, look, we're going to fire the first shot and see what's going on there. The real fight is going to be, again, between Microsoft and Valve, and that's going to be a wild fight to see, because in the end, if things play out the way they're supposed to, then no matter what user you are on, no matter what platform or OS you're on, you're going to have a better experience overall, because both of these companies will be fighting to see if they can keep you on that platform specifically. Now, I'm really excited to see what's going to be happening with the Steam Machine when it comes out, and I also want to see what will be happening with so many other consoles as well. We've seen people like Mark Cerny talk about recently how they also want to do different things with the PlayStation 6 and with next generation as well, to provide a more open area for them to work through and provide different libraries of what they're going to be doing in terms of their hardware as well for developers. That's going to be cool to see, because if PlayStation also follows the same suit of having a more open platform for their own console, you're going to see different things occur. We already see the PS Plus app on PC. We're already seeing the stuff about cross-buy and cross-ownership for PlayStation as well, and that could be a big factor, because PlayStation does in fact put their games onto Steam, and games on Linux in fact do work perfectly fine. In fact, Ghost of Tsushima just got verified for the deck as well. So my prediction about the entire thing could just be that in the future, you'd simply pick the device that fits you the best or fits in your budget, and then you get to have every game from every platform and every storefront on one simple device. Boy, it sounds a lot like PC gaming now, doesn't it? That really is just going to be the best way of doing things, truly. That's actual competition for the user, no longer locking games behind a plastic box or console, but giving the user proper choice to choose where they want to buy their games, or even what games to buy on the specific platform that's best for them. That's going to be a great thing overall, and watching the actual industry for the next 5 to 10 years is going to be wild to cover as well, because this is an incredibly exciting time. Do I expect the Steam Machine to do 100 million console sales? No, not at all. Not even close. Not even in the slightest do I think it'll be similar to that. I think it'll be close to whatever the Steam Deck is in terms of sales as well. But I think the issue is you're going to be seeing a lot of people move over to Steam OS and Linux more so than staying on Windows. And that's going to be a massive fight for competition overall in the gaming space as well. And even in the platform space too. But I will say this, I'm incredibly excited for the future of video games, mostly because the more players in this space, the absolute better competition we're going to see across the board. And Valve being one of those players is going to be a fantastic thing. A company that has been known to garner actual consumer advocacy and go forth and provide a better experience for customers on a consistent basis, provide good updates, could finally be the thing that puts the batteries in the back of Microsoft to go around and update what they need to do and get a better experience overall. Meaning that everybody gets a better experience and true competition in fact happens in the gaming space. And that's going to be something wild to in fact see. Hopefully though, the pricing is right, the system sells well, and more people get excited about PC gaming, because honestly, those roadblocks everybody tries to put in the way of it really are just self-inflicted. And the fact that Valve is doing it on their own to say, hey look, here's a simple box you can put right under your TV, it's going to work the way it's supposed to, it's also a PC, because even in the trailer you can see an actual developer working with Godot and even Blender at the same time while dual monitoring their entire desktop PC on that Steam machine. And that's going to be cool for me as well, because if the performance starts catching up to what I have right now, my tower desktop could be replaced by a small 6-inch GameCube. And that's going to be cool. The future of gaming is here, ladies and gentlemen. We are now entering the platform wars 100%, but I want to hear what you guys have to say about this in the comment section down below. Are you excited about the GameCube? Are you not? Do you think Valve is going the wrong direction? I want to hear what you guys have to say. If you want to see more of this kind of content though, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, and even live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 97K. And if you want Discord access or most during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend the buck, don't sweat it. Show up Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, as I wear a banana suit. That's right, I was in a cameo, and I get insulted by about 700 people with AITTS, and I use a voice changer to make myself sound like a Dommy Mommy. No, trust me, you don't want to miss it. With all that being said, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!